Noi is a junior high school boy who lives with his father. He has a dream about a disaster in which he appears as a child on a train, but he is actually older. As the disaster approaches, the train is destroyed, causing him to wake up suddenly. He realizes that he overslept and is now running late for school, so he quickly prepares breakfast and hurries to school. When he arrives at school, he meets his friend Hoki, who is playing a new game. Noi takes the phone from Hoki to play the game, and Hoki reveals that his uncle was one of the game's developers. While they are hanging out, a girl named Cass appears and takes the game from Noi, warning them that they will be late for class if they don't stop wasting time. Noi rushes off to class, bumping into another girl on the way and apologizing for not seeing her. Later, while Noi and his friends are discussing the game, an emergency alarm rings, signaling a disaster. They rush to investigate, and a group of sabers appears to shoot down the disaster. Noi is impressed by their abilities and wishes to be able to do the same one day. They return to class, where they meet a new student named Modi-san, and the teacher advises the students to treat her with respect. After class, Cass walks with Noi, but they get separated when Cass stops to take pictures of cats. While looking for Cass, Noi meets Modi-san, and Cass sees them together, causing her to run off. Noi follows her to find out what's wrong, but another disaster suddenly appears. Upon seeing the monster, Noi and Cass quickly flee from it, but the monster starts chasing them. They run into a nearby store to hide, but the monster starts to break in. Noi notices an axe and takes it, urging Cass to go and inform others about the monster so they can evacuate to safety. However, Cass is reluctant to leave Noi behind and insists on staying with him. Noi tries to convince her of the importance of warning others, but Cass remains hesitant. Eventually, Noi decides to fight the monster alone while Cass runs to inform others. During the fight, Noi manages to stab the monster in the head, but it does not die and throws Noi aside. Suddenly, a blade stabs the monster from behind, and Noi is surprised to see that it is Modis who has come to save him. Modis gives Noi a pill of life, but he chooses not to use it. The monster removes Modis' face mask, revealing her identity to Noi, who is shocked to discover that she is a member of the Braid. The monster injures Modis, and Noi continues to fight it until it is finally killed. Noi gives the pill of life to Modis, who warns him not to reveal her affiliation with the Braid to anyone. Suddenly, a police officer arrives, brandishing a gun and angrily accusing Noi of causing harm to Modis. Modis then puts Noi to sleep, and Cass appears. The police officer lies to Cass, claiming that he defeated the monster, and they both return home. It is morning, and the sabers have found a dead body. They are looking for the person responsible, but it doesn't make sense to them because the body has been lying in the same place since morning. They suspect that the monster from last night's disaster might be behind the murder. As Noi heads to class, he thinks about yesterday's incident. Suddenly, he bumps into a girl who is sort of a classmate. The girl is looking for his reflection essay. Noi lies and tells the teacher that he fought and defeated a Skoru disaster, but he couldn't write the essay because of his injuries. However, the girl threatens to report him to the teacher for not submitting the essay. Just then, Noi's friend Modi-san appears with the essay in her hand, saying it belongs to Noi. The girl leaves, and Noi is surprised by Modi-san's actions. She asks Noi if he will keep the secret that she saved him during their first meeting. Noi thinks she wants to confess her feelings for him, but Modis just takes his hand and leaves. Meanwhile, Cass meets Hoki and asks if he has seen Noi. Hoki reveals that Noi left with Modis, and Cass becomes furious. Modis and Noi continue to talk, and she shares that she has been studying at home since she was a child, and this is her first time outside. They go shopping together 3 times and hear an announcement about the disaster, instructing people to evacuate to a safe place. Modis quickly changes into her blade outfit to help people. Another blade shows up and kills the monster, but there is some disagreement between one of the blades and Saber. Noi is surprised because all of them have the same motive, which is to save people during disasters. In the midst of a heated battle between the Braid and the Sabers, Noi stands on the sidelines, watching as the two sides fight it out. The Braid is doing his best not to lose, while simultaneously mocking the Sabers. Suddenly, a Saber shoots the Braid, causing him to kneel down in pain. Just as the Saber is about to shoot the Braid again, Noi intervenes, throwing a stone and urging them to stop fighting since they all share the same goal of protecting the world. However, the Saber shouts at Noi to stop interfering, calling him an NPC or non-player character because the Braid is a demon and has killed some of the Sabers. Hearing this, the Braid rushes towards Noi, intending to kill him, but Modis comes to Noi's rescue. The Saber tells Modis not to harm the other Braid, claiming that she belongs to her and that they should fight each other instead. The strange Braid uses her magic to hang everyone in the air and starts explaining to Modis what Noi would feel like if he knew the truth about the world. Modis tells the strange Braid not to reveal the truth to Noi, but the strange Braid opens up to Noi, who is eager to know that the world they are living in is fake, and everything is just a game. She tells him that everything is controlled by supercomputers, which surprises Noi because he had no idea. Suddenly, Cass appears to rescue Noi, but Noi tells her to stay far away. Cass refuses to leave, causing the Braid to hate Cass even more. This infuriates Noi, who breaks the magic wire he was hanging from to save Cass, leaving everyone surprised since NPCs cannot manage to break it. Noi engages in a fight with the strange Braid to save Cass, while Modis and the Saber are still hanging in the air. Suddenly, Noi stabs the strange Braid, and she dies, causing all of her magic power to enter Noi's body, making him a Braider too. Noi is wearing the braid clothing and is surprised when the other braid dies. The saber and Noi rush to check on him to make sure he is okay. Noi is angry with Modis and wants to know if what the other braid said about living in a fake world is true. The saber gives Cass a pill and she falls asleep for some rest. The saber tells Noi not to tell anyone about what has happened and she disappears. Noi carries Cass home, with Modis following him even though he tells her to go back. When they reach home, Boo initially refuses to let Modis in, but eventually she allows her to come in. Noi asks Modis how to remove the braid suit, and she shows him the button on the left side, which he clicks to access the menu. Noi apologizes for being mean, and they chat about different things. Noi asks Cass if she wants to remove her clothes, and she agrees. Outside, Noi is approached by 3 people who mistake him for not being a player, but they apologize when Modis appears. Dominique calls Noi and tells him that her father has come, so he needs to disconnect immediately. Modis disconnects, leaving Noi unconscious. Someone enters through the window and takes Noi while he is unconscious. In the end, Noi wakes up in a strange place. Noi finds himself in a strange room with 2 people, and he asks them who they are. They inform him that they are allies and show him their leader, assuring him that he has nothing to fear. 2 men from different factions are fighting near the door where Cass is sleeping. Upon hearing the commotion, Cass wakes up and goes to investigate. She witnesses one man kill the other and is given something to make her pass out. Meanwhile, the Braids monster tells Noi more about the game and gives him something, stating that he is the last hope to change the world. Noi is taken aback by how quickly everything is happening. As for Modis, she returned to her real world, and during dinner, she asks her uncle about her memories. She saw a picture of a mother and a baby earlier and wants to know more. However, her father refuses to tell her and leaves the table. On the other hand, Noi returns home and finds Cass scared after encountering the strange people. Modis is still trying to uncover more about her past and asks her servant Vincent about Gurito. He reveals that Gurito was a developer of Gala, prompting Modis to ask Vincent to help her learn more about what happened 10 years ago. As Noi heads back to school, he is plagued by the thought of his fake world. Upon arriving, his friend Holden calls him out for skipping classes the day before, but Noi abruptly leaves without explanation. Later, he meets with Modis to talk in private. However, Noi is struggling to explain what happened the night before, as he doesn't quite understand it himself. Just as they are about to delve into the conversation, an emergency alarm goes off, signaling a disaster. They agree to talk later and head out to assess the situation. To their surprise, the monster they encounter has a higher level than theirs. As the monster is about to attack, another Braid appears to help them. They fight together, but the monster still proves to be a formidable foe. In a moment of desperation, Noi puts on his Braid suit and joins the fight, leaving Cass with unanswered questions. As Neo continued to fight, he fell down and became unconscious. Cass, who was beside him, started crying for help. Suddenly, the sabers arrived and started shooting at the monster. Although the monster stopped attacking, it didn't die. One of the sabers reminded the others not to attack the monster since the Braiders started the fight, and attacking them wouldn't yield any rewards. Neo was still unconscious, and Modis tried her best to wake him up, but to no avail. Cass became furious and tried to wake him up with some strange substance, but it didn't work. After some time, Neo regained consciousness and started attacking the monster. Everyone was surprised that Neo, who was previously unconscious, was now fighting the monster with the help of his newfound strength. With his determination and the monster's weakness, Neo managed to kill the monster, causing it to vanish. After killing the monster, Neo regained his senses and noticed his friend Hoki up there. There are 2 main characters, Virus and Ange, who belong to different factions and are fighting against each other. Ange is eventually defeated, and Virus takes him to his master, who is also the master of Neo and other Braids. Virus starts attacking the master, and the master transforms into a huge person. Meanwhile, Neo, Modis, and other Braids are on their way somewhere, and they discuss Gala, a supercomputer designed to serve as the game's database, which contains everything that exists in the world of Superbox. After some time, Boo and other Braids reach the place to inform Neo about something. On the other hand, the Braids master is busy discussing with Virus about their freedom. Virus promises to eliminate his enemies if he joins the Braids group to reach their freedom. Meanwhile, one of the Braids explains to Neo about his mother's death, which occurred 6 years ago during a disaster, and that he started living with his father after that. However, Neo seems unimpressed by this and considers it his private matter. But Modis tells him to keep listening since they believe that he is the key to their real world. They ask him to try to remember his father's name, but he suddenly faints. After waking up, Neo mentions Senshin, another NPC like him, and the Braids want to find out more about him, hoping that he may hold some clue to what happened 10 years ago. After discussing with the group, Neo is advised to change his blade clothes to avoid drawing attention to himself. Later on, they bid farewell, and Modis and the other Braids disconnect. Neo then heads back home, only to find one of the Braids telling him that their master has been kidnapped by Virus, one of their foes. Early the next morning, Neo hurries to school, where he finds Cass waiting for him. She immediately hugs him and tells him that she couldn't find him after the battle. Neo assures her that he had taken her to the hospital. However, Virus suddenly appears and starts mocking protecting Neo. As soon as Neo asks where Virus has taken their master, he is attacked, and some of his powers are taken, causing him to faint. Cass quickly rises to protect Neo, but her power of destroying things around her does not work. After waking up, Neo and Cass head to class. As soon as they open the door, people cheer and congratulate Neo for saving them. However, in class, his friend Hacky is ignoring him because Neo did not tell him that he was a hero. Meanwhile, Holiday wants to know how Neo became a braid. Neo tells him to follow him, and suddenly a certain dog outside starts licking Neo's face. The dog's owner apologizes and invites them to eat at their cafe. Neo is currently having coffee with his friend Hoki, while the coffee shop owner continues to stare at him. Hoki is convinced that the girl is interested in Neo. Meanwhile, Modis is wondering what Neo might be doing at that moment. She is feeling a bit nervous since she is away from him, and she prays that nothing bad will happen to him while she is away. Suddenly, Cass appears at the window calling for Neo, while he and Hoki are having coffee. The dog inside senses something, and an emergency alarm rings. A monster disaster has come near the cafe where Neo and his friend are located. The cafe owner connects with a saber, together with another worker, to fight the monster and the dog too. Neo decides to help the sabers and fight the monster, but they end up being trapped in the monster's pendulum. After defeating the monsters in the first hole, they were unaware of another one. Small monsters started coming out and attacking people, causing panic. Neo, Hoki, and Cass stayed near the window to assess the situation. However, they soon noticed a woman in need of help, and Neo went to rescue her. Unfortunately, another monster appeared, putting Neo in danger. Cass wanted to protect her friend, but the monster sprayed something at her and Hoki, causing them to fall ill. Neo became enraged, and he fought fiercely to defeat the monster. Finally, when Cass and Hoki waved at him, Neo felt relieved that they were safe.